I'm going to do that too.
Beer and Psalms, right into the mic. Nice.
Oh, yeah, we need those empty glasses.
Who made heaven?
Are you going to give that to the pastor?
Oh, sorry.
Behold, bless the Lord,
Are ye servants of the Lord?
who by night stand in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hearts to the
There we go.
sanctuary, and burn the house of the Lord.
Beer and Psalms. Cheers.
To the King.
Cheers to the king.
Cheers to the
guys.
king.
Cheers to the King.
Cheers.
Praise God.
Beautiful. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politics. It is Beer and Psalms Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Millions of people, millions, I think it's something like 40 or 50 million, are about to write a thank you letter to the American people for forgiving them of their students' debt.
We had a meeting about
Their
that?
student loan debt, okay?
You signed off on this?
And I just want to say thank you, hardworking Americans who didn't go to college.
Can you believe our Fight Laugh Feast conference is only 6 weeks away? Pack your wife, pack up your kids, and join us in Knoxville, Tennessee, October 6th through the 8th. We pulled no punches on the speakers this year.
George Gilder,
Jared
Megan
Longshore,
Basham,
Pastor
Jason
Doug Wilson.
White.
Did you want to read?
Let him finish.
You want to read the ad?
All right, I was getting excited.
Dr. Ben Merkel, and of course, everyone's favorite cross politics. Who wrote this? And I'll be there as well. And that's not even mentioning all our fantastic vendors. Come meet friends, drink beer, sing psalms, argue over who's responsible for transgenderism, which is only a distraction for us to baptize your kids. Finally, keep in mind that you can get a club member discount,
That's
$100 off by joining the club at fightlaughfeast.com and sign up for a membership and then register for the conference to save some more of your hard-earned cash. Don't forget, also, there's a pre-conference business conference thing. Is there still open?
You can sign up.
There's still room?
There's still room for it. We got
Making
one I
business.
can't announce. I mean, pretty much said he's coming, but I can't quite announce it
Making
yet. But
business
Andrew Crappert says make business makers
In
how to run and start a business in a woke culture.
Yeah.
Hey, isn't
So
Joe?
huge.
Isn't Rigney supposed to be on here today? Didn't that
Hey, Joe Rigney, well,
sorry,
he couldn't come on today. He's trying to come on in the next couple of weeks, but
Cool.
we're going to talk about
couple
that.
weeks.
Yeah.
What,
I
what is
got
he
to get
doing?
on a schedule. I don't know.
What does that mean?
He's a president
He's
of a
a
college
president and a pastor.
and a pastor.
Give him a break.
Yeah,
Also, the live show on Saturday. Don't forget, we're excited to have
Megan.
Jason Whitlock
Yes.
and Megan Basham talking lies, damn lies, and journalism. Right? Oh,
Yep,
man.
that's correct.
So
Okay.
There you go. 87% of journalists are liberals. That's all you got to say.
Okay.
It's all
So
lies.
we can't wait to see you at the Fight Laugh Feast conference in Knoxville, October 6th through the 8th, FLFnetwork.com. Sign up today.
So Joe's administration's been talking about this for pretty much since he got in office, about
That's true.
student loan debt forgiveness.
Yeah.
Okay. There's about $2 trillion, a little less than $2 trillion of student loan debt right now among all college students. And so he had
Wait. Tell me, you
$2
said
trillion.
2 trillion amongst all college students. That's
Amongst-
not just federal students. There's a difference between the right.
No,
that's all
no,
college.
That's all college students. So
Okay.
that'd be private universities,
Okay.
4-year, nursing schools, lawyer degree, all that
you
stuff.
guys, our producers-
PhDs.
But he's talking about federal loans.
Federal loans.
Federal
That's
loans.
correct.
Oh, yes.
Federal loans given to students.
Yeah, but I want to see what the federal.
Hang on, I'll get there.
Okay.
So
Gabe knows.
Biden's press conference was on this issue today. Here we go.
An entire generation is now saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for an attempt, at least, at a college degree. The burden is so heavy that even if you graduate, you may not have access to the middle-class life that the college degree once provided. Many people can't qualify for a mortgage to buy a home because of the debt they continue to carry. They carry it's too high. They can't come up with the down payment anyway. A lot of folks are even putting off starting families because of the cost. And the dream of starting your own business is just way off in the distance with the debt that so many are saddled with. Many of you had to leave school because the financial strain was much too high. About a third of the borrowers have debt but no degree, and worst of both worlds, debt and no degree. The burden is especially heavy on Black and Hispanic borrowers who on average have less family wealth to pay for it. They don't own their homes to borrow against to be able to pay for college.
Don't use us as a way to
A couple things here. First of all, where's the biggest problem with debt in our society right now? Oh, go ahead, Toby. Let's see if you get the right answer.
Federal government.
There you go. What is our national debt right now?
27.
Give me the slide. Give me the slide. Come on, Haley.
Oh my gracious! I can't say
$30
that
trillion.
I was at
so
27.
our current national debt's $30 trillion, and then for every person, I was like, I teeter up.
I was actually scared for our monitors. Like, you gotta pay for those.
Beautiful.
$90,000 for every living person in the United States.
Right.
$230,000 for every household in the United States. The reason why it's important to point out household is because of the tax-paying citizens, right? So if you divide this by every person in the United States, well, not all those are actually burdening the cost of that student debt.
So when we say household, are we including kids in that household?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
What is a household? What is a household?
I know it sounds funny, but I'm asking, do they have to pay tax?
Now, go back to the college debt here. So you got your bachelor's degree. The average debt's about $28,000. Graduate student loans about $70,000. Law school $140,000. So your debt per student is actually pretty low compared to the debt per household that bears the national debt.
Right.
And this is the real problem is, why isn't Biden dealing with our national debt?
Sure.
He's what do you call it? Pissing in a fire,
in the wind.
You're trying to put out a fire with a little squirt gun. Let's just put it that way. You're trying to put out a fire with a little squirt gun.
Okay.
That's what he's doing with the national
I think
debt.
you should do a few more analogies.
I was gonna let him
Come on.
I pulled back. So, did I have one more slide here, Haley, that we're going to show? Okay. All right, let's go to the next video here.
On top of the 5%, in the top 5% of incomes, by the way, will benefit from this action period. In fact, about 90% of the eligible beneficiaries make under $75,000 as family. Here's what that means. If you make under $125,000, you get $10,000 knocked off your student debt. If you make under $125,000 a year and you received a Pell Grant, you'll get an additional $10,000 knocked off that total, for a total of $20,000 relief. 95% of the borrowers can benefit from these actions. That's 43 million people. Of the 43 million, over 60% are Pell Grant recipients. That's 27 million people who will get $20,000 in debt relief. Nearly 45% can have their student debt fully canceled. That's 20 million people who can start getting on with their lives. All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt.
Nope.
To get on top of their rent and their utilities. To finally think about buying a home or starting a family or starting a business. And by the way, when this happens, the whole economy is better off.
So $30 trillion in national debt.
Yeah.
Right? Student loan is like 1.7 trillion. Let's just round it up to 2 trillion.
Okay.
That's 6% of the problem. Right? You take 30, it's actually less than 6%. It's like 5% of the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what Joe's trying to target.
And is this actually adding to the problem?
It'll add to the problem because it'll add inflation, because you're just basically forgiving money that's not active in the economy, that's not productive in the economy.
Is this considered debt right now, national debt right now? These debts?
It'll be interesting to see how they write that off the book, but it'll probably add to the national debt.
I know it's going to take $300 billion before it's all said and done.
Someone has to pay it off.
Yeah,
right. You can't forget. The other thing is our friend Bonson. This is hilarious. Our friend Bonson. Go ahead and pull that up, Haley. He tweeted out the obvious here.
No student debt forgiveness. $124.99. 10,000 student debt forgiveness. That was a really stupid decision to make that extra $2, folks.
$2.
And I think he's pointing out something really important.
$2.
Here, because he's saying, wait a second, if you strive to actually go and achieve and make a lot of money to bless a lot of people, we're going to punish you for it.
Yep.
And that's what the
you earn $2 more and you lose $10,000.
The incentive is put on the wrong place.
Socialism always does.
Stupid. Socialism is stupid.
De-incentivizes. I mean, he's talking about incentivizing hard work.
Yeah.
but it's actually de-incentivizing. It's actually saying, look, you better be careful. If you make too much, you're not going to get the next handout.
This feels like the system is rigged against you because, I was thinking about this. How do you take back your economy? Like really, like if you think about it, like how do you take back your economy? Because
start paying for all your own stuff.
That's well, okay. And I wasn't going to finish what I was going to say. And thanks for joining Cross Politics.
It's over.
That's the.
Listen,
I know.
Wait. Do you want to hear Biden's solution first before we get to this part of the conversation?
His solution.
Yeah. Listen to Biden's solution. His additional solution for how they're going to still require some form of student payback. So they're going to forgive all this debt. And he went through the calculation. If you're under $75,000 here, you get debt forgiven here. If you're under $125,000 here, you get debt here. Now he's going to talk about moving forward. How are we going to require students to pay back debt?
Okay.
Third thing, we're fixing the student loan program system itself. We've talked about this at length. This is really important. We're proposing to make what's called an income-driven repayment plan simple and fair. And here's how. No one with an undergraduate loan today or in the future, whether for a community college or a four-year college, will have to pay more than 5% of their discretionary income to repay their loan. That's income after you pay the necessities like housing, food, and the like. You currently pay 10%. We're cutting that in half to 5%. And after you pay your loan for 20 years, your obligation will be fulfilled if it hadn't already been fulfilled, meaning you won't have to pay any more, period. And borrowers whose original balance was less than $12,000, many of whom are community college students, will be done paying just after 10 years. These changes will save more than $1,000 a year on average for the borrower. It's a game changer.
Here's how dumb this is.
Whenever a politician says simple and easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he says we're going to fix the student loan program itself.
Right.
Who started it? They did.
Yeah.
And this is what politicians do is they create a program and then they think, we need to make it better. Yeah. We need to make it better. We need to fix it. We need to fix it. And then he goes on the insanity of what he said here. We really need to process this.
Okay. Yeah. Go for it, brother.
Get it here. So he's going to say you're going to owe 5% to the loan for 20 years and it's forgiven in 20 years. Yeah. But that 5% of your income is going to be counted after discretionary income.
Right.
So what does that do? That means when I get out of college, it's better for me to get a huge debt from buying a house.
Yep.
So let's buy a house. Let's buy a car.
Yep.
Let's buy all this stuff that falls under this discretionary income. Go to a restaurant every day. That's food.
Right, food.
Let's eat out every day.
Yeah, it doesn't incentivize actually being wise and careful with your money.
Yeah, because if you can minimize that 5% as much as you can, live the best life you can, it's going to get forgiven in 20 years.
Right.
And you're going to have to pay off less of it.
Right.
But is that so? If that's their
insanity.
Goal, but if that's their goal, then it's to keep you wanting them too, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it keeps you in a place where you have to be on their kind of welfare plan. It might be a nice welfare plan, but you're still on their welfare plan. You don't have any money that you've saved up. You don't have any control.
Buy a house with a pool. Take a higher mortgage loan.
Right.
This is what I was thinking about. It's like, okay, how is it that the government, who has been in control of the economy, has ruined it so bad that a supposed educated person can't even make it till they can buy a house?
Yeah.
How do you? That's why I be like, you have to get this back.
It's like Reagan, the scariest words in the English language are, I'm here from the government. I'm here to help you.
And I'm trying. I just don't understand how we've let that happen. Other thing, go ahead, Pastor.
I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
You just said, I just don't understand how we let that happen. And we need to underline that.
Yeah.
We let that happen.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
That's right.
Okay, we've let this happen. It's been 120 years or so of letting the government take over stuff. I don't exactly know when the Pell Grants and the student loans started, but we've been letting them take over the government.
The 80s, early 80s.
And then when they started saying, hey, we will help you get through college, we let them do that. We let them. And they said, and we should have said no. And so, and the thing is,
it's our responsibility.
Yeah, and the thing is technically speaking, since we let them open these loans, they are free to cancel them.
Right. No, that's exactly right.
We let them do this. Right. It's stupid. Yeah. It's foolish. It's suicide. Yep. But we let them do this, and now they can cancel these debts. Yep. The other thing to keep in mind, all these the high cost of universities and colleges too. A great book, Fail You.
We interviewed that guy.
Remember
We had
that
him on the show
way back
4
in the
years
day?
ago. Yeah.
I mean,
Charlie Sykes.
the amount of bloat at colleges is insane.
So since the 70s, colleges have increased over 1,000%. Over 1,000%.
Right.
The cost of tuition.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what else is increased is the pools on campus.
Yep.
The lazy river. LSU has a $50 million lazy river.
Yeah, I think-
Apparently, WSU right across the border here has the largest jacuzzi, I think, on the West Coast.
That's just nasty. That's just nasty.
I've been in it
No!
with my family.
No! Oh, man.
You know,
Christmas vacation.
I think it was 81 when you start seeing the climb in college prices. It was like 93 when they started doing.
And notice.
Yeah.
No,
Notice.
it was Department of Education in the 70s where he started
No,
seeing
no,
climb.
no.
The government comes in and says money, free money.
That's when you
and
start
what
seeing-
happens? Prices go up because they're like, hey, look at this. We can just keep getting money, money. And the government's, oh yeah, we got to pay for it. It's got education. It's for the children.
But see, that's what I'm going to say. So the part of it is that this is going to flip at some point to where the government starts owning the colleges and they start telling them what their prices are going to be.
Yep.
Because they already have
They
all
will.
the money
Yep.
that they're
Yep.
giving to them anyway. It doesn't stay at the point where we're just going to control the debt. It's going to switch and move over to the fact that we own the colleges or
That's
we're
right.
controlling the colleges in the
and
same
we're going to tell
way.
them what they have to do and what to teach.
And so riddle me this. How are they going to work with each student graduate who graduates with $100,000 and is making, let's say, $70,000?
Who graduates with $100,000?
Yeah, $100,000 in debt.
Okay, yeah.
And then, let's say, starts off with a job of $100,000. How are they going to work with that student to make sure they're getting their 5% back after that weird calculation of discretionary income?
This is a
the IRS.
Oh, bro, don't even.
Yeah, 78,000 agents.
87.
87. in there.
87.
He's like, it's worse than I thought. You know,
This is why New St. Andrews College
That's right.
takes not one
federal
cent
penny.
from the federal government.
Yep.
Did you guys see Ben Merkel's thing today?
No.
I'm going to read it to you. I'm just going to read it to you.
ooh.
In a bold move, New St. Andrews College President Dr. Ben Merkel has announced this morning his decision to subtract 10 pounds off the total weight of all Americans making less than $200,000 annually. The decision comes after a good bit of back and forthing amongst college staff and advisors, many of whom pushed for forgiveness of up to 50 pounds. Other popular alternatives include a plan to forgive 10 years of age for all Americans aged 40 or older, an initiative to subtract 20 degrees from the temperatures of summer in Texas or Arizona, or even a proposal to add 3 inches of height to all men hired by the IRS over the next 18 months. One particularly ambitious initiative would have required the owners of electric cars be referred to as, quote, devastatingly handsome. Dr. Merkel balked at this and would only go so far as scrumptious. Unfortunately, this concession failed to close the deal. Whilst objections were voiced that the rank of small college president has no authority over the bulk of objective reality, and that the forgiveness of 23 billion tons of American poundage is far outside his authority, Dr. Merkel answered with cool reason, saying, "Pshaw, watch me." Ever forward-looking Dr. Merkel is planning to declare next that chocolate milk will always be free, that all the radar guns of the Idaho Highway Patrol may only be pointed at the moon, and that he has permanent dibs on shotgun, regardless of who claims they already called it. Meanwhile, students at NSA continue to pay their own bills.
facts. You want to tell us about Bobo Construction now, too?
Oh, sure, I can. Stop sending your hard-earned money to companies that hate you. It's time to build a Christian economy. Bobo Construction, Inc. is literally doing just that. This is how you take back the
That's right.
the economy.
That's
Just
right.
you build your own stuff, you do your own stuff, keep your own money. For all of your construction needs, partner with Bobo Construction, Inc. today for any project in California, Nevada, Washington, or Idaho. Contact Austin Bobo at Bobo, that's ABOBO, at boboconstructioninc.com, or visit the website at boboconstructioninc.com.
Louisville detective pled guilty in the case regarding that's
Breonna
related to Breonna
Taylor.
Taylor's killing.
Yes.
So I woke up this morning to that headline from the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And I was blown away to see, like, okay, I haven't heard much about this case. What's going on? Well, the detective Kelly Goodlett is one of the 4 former Louisville Metro Police Department officers charged by the Justice Department earlier this month in the connection with the 2020 raid on Miss Taylor's apartment to execute a search warrant. By pleading guilty to one count of conspiracy in a federal court in Louisville on Tuesday, she became the first person convicted as a result of the federal state investigation. In her plea agreement, Miss Goodlet, a plea.
Yeah.
Miss Goodlet, 35.
She's playing guilty. That's usually what you got going on.
Right. Who's 35 years old, admitted that she worked with another detective, Joshua James, to present false information to a judge to obtain a search warrant for which they lacked proper cause.
Into Mar-a-Lago?
Miss James wrote in the affidavit that Mr. James, wrote in an affidavit that he had verified with a postal inspector that a target of a drug investigation was receiving packages. That was the whole thing, right? At Mrs. Taylor's home, and allegations that Miss Goodlet said she and Mr. James knew were false.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
I do want to say that this is coming from the Department of Justice, who right now is doing a kangaroo trial in Michigan. Who right now
about the Governor Whitmer, who has lost multiple cases for that, and who also possibly falsified warrant information from Mar-a-Lago.
Okay. So you're saying you can't trust the fact that she signs an affidavit saying that she actually committed
I believe
conspiracy?
that what they did was
signed
highly possible.
Yeah, no, but I think Gabe's point is they also signed an affidavit to get the search warrant to begin with.
To get her.
Yeah. So they've done it both. They got
to go after her too, and they got to get a search warrant to go after her.
I think.
But on falsified information.
I'm just saying it's
nobody's pled guilty to that yet.
Yeah.
Let's just for the sake of argument, let's just say, she pled guilty. She falsified a document to go in, and they killed Breonna Taylor. I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
I'm just skeptical from Department of Justice to FBI, all over the place right now. I mean,
that's my point.
Today, a whistleblower came out with the FBI reporting to Senator Ron Johnson, saying that he was told not to investigate the Hunter Biden laptop issue. He said, "Go slow, walk that out slowly."
But here's what's been interesting for me.
Well, it's Sam Harris knew that.
That's what I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
It was an asteroid, bro. Here's what's been interesting for me.
Yeah, I want to hear what you want to say.
It's that we have seen in the last 2 years, particularly, our legal department, legal system completely collapse on good people. The police, the FBI, our local police,
citizens.
Just collapse on us. But I don't think it came out of nowhere. I think this has been going on.
The Baptists? Okay.
And we didn't listen to them.
Yeah, we should have listened to them. Yeah.
It's been going on to a minority group of people who don't have necessarily the same amount of impact socially or financially to say something.
Yeah.
So they mobbed together and they misdiagnosed the situation.
Yeah.
They said it is a black problem, and they didn't ring the bell like they should have. They should have said, we have a problem legally that is treating people in a particular way where they don't have any defenses against it. So that they can go ahead and make their cases about you without you being able to say, well, how do I argue against an affidavit?
Hold on a sec. So
okay.
It's been a long day. I'm a pastor. I've been listening to people all day, and wait.
I think the social justice movement told us to look at Breonna Taylor and say it's because she's black.
Okay.
And I think instead they should have said, look at the Breonna Taylor situation with a biblical perspective and ask yourself, is this how we should treat people over drugs? That the situation that has happened.
Get a no-knock warrant to come in with someone
get a no-knock
who's got marijuana in their house or whatever.
Should we have choked Eric Garner out over the fact that he was trespassing and cigarettes?
Right.
I mean, I think that there's been situations that have gone on that say this type of setup has not treated people well. And it's not going to end with us. It's going to go to everybody else. And so then all of a sudden we start seeing, they start saying, hey, where are the videotapes? It's like, guys, you're making this a racial issue. And we looked at it saying, investigating. No, it's not because he was black. And we didn't care about anything else.
Right.
We stopped there because we start looking at it with the lenses they told us to look at it with instead of having a very objective standard about
to get the root of the problem.
God's law and say, wait a second, why are you guys doing this without a...
This is why justice is supposed to be blindfolded.
We took our blindfolds off and took the social justice glasses and started looking at it and said, no, you're wrong. And we gave it back to them.
You know what that is? I mean, that is a play to be God.
Yeah.
That's fundamentally what it is. It's like we can figure this out. We've got the decoder glasses.
Yeah.
And we can tell the main thing that's going on wrong is these power disparities and color of skin or power or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Rather than saying, no. God knows.
Yeah.
And he's given us tools.
That's right.
And the tools are found in the word. And it's the same standard, black, white, male, female, rich, poor, Doesn't matter. Same standard, equal weights and measures.
And we're starting to feel the heat of it now because we're seeing the IRS.
And now we're in this mess where we don't know. And it's like, which affidavit is true?
Right.
Who's paying who?
And so the whole thing is out of a mess because we're not having an objective standard of how we should view this. It's bad.
That's good, Knox. That's a good point. I wish we had more time to talk about that. But now it's time for the psalm.
Beer and psalm. Okay.
It's Psalm 134 is the psalm of the day. We're going to be singing this in Knoxville.
Yeah.
October 6th through the 8th at the conference. Aaron Snell's going to be leading this.
Yep.
This is a canon of Psalm 134 that Dr. David Erb wrote, and we like to sing it in a canon. And
it's beautiful.
And Aaron Snell's going to lead us in it. Behold, bless ye the Lord, all ye servants of the Lord, which by night stand in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and bless the Lord that made heaven and earth. Bless thee out of Zion.
I told my son to go read his Bible one time, and he picked that chapter and read it. And I was like, dude, you didn't read your Bible very long. He's like, yeah, I read Psalm 134.
Yeah.
It's such a short chapter. Anyways.
This is a very simple psalm in some ways, but I think it's actually really profound. The psalm only has 3 verses, as your son
figured out.
Figured out.
Short chapter.
I've been reading my Bible, Dad. So, Psalm 117's only got 1 verse.
Yes, yeah.
The first verse is a call for all the servants of the Lord to bless the Lord, specifically those who stand by night in the house of the Lord, which is interesting. What are you doing standing in nighttime? This would be a call to all of God's people, but specifically those Levites. They're actually armed Levites who are charged with guarding the house of God in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, the equivalent would be pastors and elders, the shepherds of the flock of God, called to guard the flock. But this really is a call to all Christians. All through the New Testament, it says, be watchful, stand guard, be strong, be on the lookout, for your enemy lurks, looking for whom he may devour. Verse 2 tells us that the blessing is to be done with lifted hands. So we're to bless the Lord. And then verse 2 says we're to bless the Lord with lifted hands in the sanctuary. Or some notes suggest it could be translated in holiness. And I think both ways work. And this reminds us of Paul's admonition to Timothy that he wanted men everywhere praying, lifting holy hands without wrath or doubting. And this is a warning to us all. What have you been doing with your hands? Those hands that you are lifting. What have you been writing on the internet? What kind of work have you been doing? Have you been acting out of anger or fear? Our hands are to be holy. But the only way to have holy hands, ultimately, is to lift them toward God's holiness. Lift them to God so that he can cleanse them and sanctify them, like he sanctified and cleansed the lips of Isaiah. Finally, the psalm ends with the striking call for the Lord to bless all those who have blessed the Lord. So bless the Lord, lift up your hands, the Lord bless you. All those who have lifted their hands towards God's holiness,
bless them.
Bless them. So think of this psalm as gearing up for battle. Who is this psalm for? All those who stand by night, guarding the house of God. All those who stand guard for the holiness of God, for the truth of God, for the goodness of God. But those who stand guard for God's holiness need to be holy themselves. That means we have to be a people on guard against our own sin, our own bad attitudes, our own wrath and doubting. Yes. You can't go to war with sin eating at your heart. You can only go to battle in holiness, and you can only have holy hands if your hands are lifted in praise. But if your hands are lifted in praise, God's blessing rests upon you and upon them, and we can go into the fray with joy and courage.
Amen. Cheers.
Cheers to the king.
Cheers.
Beer and Psalms.
Happy beer and Psalms, guys.
Yes. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. Oh, we have James White coming on
Friday.
Oh, looking forward to it. It was supposed to be tomorrow.
I know.
All right.
As long as his daughter Summer doesn't have a baby.
Be praying for Summer and Eric.
They're
baby
close.
time.
They're close.
This is Cross Politic.
Lift up your hearts in the sanctuary and bless the Lord.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.